This week's show brought to you by Roosters, a fun casual joint. Frank Shoup, Georgetown's big name in cars. The Insurance Store, Chenault & Hogue Incorporated.
Welcome everybody to the Scott County Cardinals News Graphic Boys Basketball Coaches Show 42nd District Playoff Edition. We'll kind of hint at looking ahead to the 11th region because by this time next week we will be likely right in the middle of that for both Scott County teams actually, but we'll start talking about the boys on this program. Want to talk about the regular season, the way they wrapped up the regular season. First of all, 3 wins, 5 nights, 3 running clock finishes for the Cardinals. They beat Adair County. We mentioned that the last couple of weeks. They played the game against Zion Harmon. Followed that up with a road trip to Holy Cross Covington and handled that one pretty well. Small gym, a little different atmosphere. Senior night for that team. They were having an emotional evening certainly, and it took Scott County a while to counter that, but they did and pulled out the relatively easy victory. And then wrapping it up on Friday night, a scary game against Paul Lawrence Dunbar, who had beaten just about all the other top teams in the 11th region and in the 42nd district. So with wins over Henry Clay, Bryan Station, Lexington Christian, they were certainly a team not to be taken lightly, and Scott County didn't, coming away with a 94-60 victory. Wrap up the season 29-1, the regular season, 21 consecutive victories. That's 30 straight victories over the past 2 years at home, 30-0 the past 2 seasons. Good wrap to the career for Cooper Robb, who was the only senior starter on that team. He had 26 points in the game against Dunbar, and Michael Moreno with 25. Each of them, I think, had 7 rebounds. So just a good overall night for the big two there. And we've seen late in the season the defense has been kicking up. Guys like Glenn Covington and Lorenzo Williams stopping the other team's best scorers, or at least making life extremely difficult for them, and that bodes well going into the postseason. We'll talk about the first round of the postseason, the 42nd District Tournament. By the time you see this, Scott County will have played essentially a road game, even though they're the top seed, against the number 4 seed in the semifinals, Frederick Douglass. And it was a game that SC won with pretty, I'll say relative ease the first 2 times. The first game was only a 4-point game at halftime, and that was at Frederick Douglass. Second game of the season at Scott County, a little bit easier. That was the night that Cooper Robb sprained his ankle, so it's a good thing they pulled away when they did. It's not an opponent to take lightly, certainly, and we know that the lesser opponents have been tougher lately, as SC is so accustomed to playing top 25 programs that this past couple of weeks they didn't really have a lot of those games. So it's a game to watch out for. It's the win or else game. They win that, they move on to the 11th region no matter what, and then they would go into a Friday night championship game at 8 o'clock at Frederick Douglass against the winner of Wednesday's other game, which is between Henry Clay and Bryan Station. And we know both those teams pushed Scott County, at least in one of their meetings, pretty tough, pretty hard. So not a foregone conclusion here, but you got to like the way the Cardinals are playing going into the postseason. I know Billy Hicks likes that. We talked a little bit to him, as you're going to see. A lot of people say you start 0-0, everybody's on a clean slate, and he doesn't really believe that. He'll go into the reasons why. Let's hear what Coach Hicks had to say about the playoffs and the upcoming challenges for the Cardinals.
Scott County has beaten 4 consecutive opponents with a running clock at the end of the game.
You know, Baz, I hate that rule, Cal, but because it hurts you from developing younger players. But it was a heck of a way to finish, and was a fitting end to a great year that we've had so far. Now as we head into tournaments, and I'm not a big proponent of that where you say, well, now it's a whole new season, because you build every game, every practice, you build on that, and the tournament is just an extension of that season. And a lot of teams say, we just wait and get ready for tournaments, all it matters, and they get knocked off first round. So it really matters. We want to build on, we've had a great year, but we want to build on that, and we take that great year right into tournaments with us and everything. And, you know, we're by happenstance, we're in the toughest region in the state of Kentucky by far. So, but, you know, it's the good thing about it is whoever comes out of the 11th it'd be one of the favorites to win the state. You have a chance to win the state.
Bryan Station will pose a challenge to the Cards in the 42nd District Final.
Yeah, I think Tommy's done a really good job with Bryan Station, and Boone ended up being a really good player. And then I think the Moronis and Simpson and some of their Lindsey, those other players stepped up, and pretty good players too. So, and we knew Boone and Murphy were really good coming in, and then they lost Mack, they lost Curry to Douglas, so they lost some players as Henry Clay did, but they still rebounded really well. And Mike and them always do a great job at Lafayette. You can always count on them to be. You got to beat them. They're tough to beat. Usually we run into them about every year in the regional tournament. So it's and they got the #1 seed in that district, which is a really tough district. The one they play. Our district's tough, but so is theirs. And but it really is 11th. Is we knew Madison Central was, they got a Cozart, a junior, but got a bunch of seniors around him, and this is basically a lot of the same team they had last year. And Allen's done a really good job with that team. And some of the biggest wins in the state this year have been by 11th region teams.
Madison Central and LCA both beat Trinity.
Yeah, and
so that's
it's something, and I tell you what, Henry Clay with Danny always does a really good job there, and then I tell you what, Kurt has handled the situation at Douglas about as good as you can. He's got a lot of players that come in there, and he's played a lot of them. He'll play a lot of them first quarter. If we play Douglas on Wednesday night, we'll see 13 or 14 the first quarter. And that's the style he plays, the way he does. He runs a lot of kids in and out. And, boy, down the road, they're going to have to be dealt with, because they're going to be one of the rising programs in the state of Kentucky that they're going to be a state power down the road.
The 11th region tournament will be arguably the toughest in the state.
Cal, 2 years removed from winning a state championship at Dunbar, and it's, look at down the region. You got Coach Feldhouse has won the state championship, Coach Chalk's won state championships, and this Mendenhall's won state championships when they were that Catholic. So what I'm saying is there are a lot of rookies in our region, a lot of good basketball coaches, and Dunbar's had some injuries, but when they've got all their whole team there, boy, they're quick. They can score. They can do some things, and boy, they're good too. Two good teams are going to come out of that district, and two good teams are going to come out of ours.
The Cards had to overcome Frederick Douglass' depth in the first round.
Sayre's got a good team. Rob Goodman over there does a great job, and then last year went to the semifinals of the region with him. And if the tournament was at Sayre, I think it would be really be a heck of a game, and maybe Sayre would win it. But I think being at Douglas swings it in Douglas's favor. I think Douglas would be hard to beat on their home floor down there for Sayre.
Scott County has confidence based on its domination of the district the past 2 years.
I think Adolph Rupp probably said that most sins in Kentucky started with Rupp, but it's just hard to beat a team 3 times in a row. But no, I'd rather be that team that's won the first 2, because they know they can win. They know they've won, and they did that. But obviously, getting back to that though, every time you play them is tough. It's tough. Every time you play them, and one thing we got to watch out for is just keep playing. We got to keep playing, because a lot of times teams will tighten up and play a little close to the vest at tournament time, try to slow it down a lot and everything. And we need to just keep playing. Boy, our playing hard, and rebounding and doing the things that we can do. And it's not like we got a bunch of rookies. We got a lot of veteran players who have been, we've lost 2 years in a row to the state champion. Dunbar beat us in the regional finals, and last year Bowling Green beat us in the state. So we've got a very experienced group. They know what it takes to win a region, and so hopefully we'll be ready, Cal.
5 players scored in double figures against Douglas, continuing the trend of balance Scott County showed down the stretch.
They are. When everybody's on the same page and really practice and everything, Lorenzo Williams has looked really good, Glenn, and they're really all those guys, those top players have been playing. Boy, they really look good. Right now in practice, and they're really whipping around, and they're really hustling, and going up against a really good JV team. I thought down the stretch here, the JV team was just fabulous. I thought they really looked good and beat a lot of good teams. And Coach Glenn always does a great job with them. But I tell you what, down the stretch, they really got good. And so now to get a practice against them every day now in practice, that's just going to make us better, Cal.
Practice against its own younger players has only made the Scott County varsity tougher.
I told Coach Glenn he could probably win maybe a third of the regions in the state of Kentucky, or have a chance to win. I mean, they could go to most of those regions and have a chance to win. That JV team could.
Scott County enters the playoffs almost 100% healthy.
And getting healthy was a big thing. Cooper's sprained ankle now. Looks like he's really healthy, pretty good. Lorenzo's had some heel problem. That seems to have healed up good, and we went really hard today in practice, and he went through it pretty good. All of them did. So hopefully we're no excuses. We should be ready to play.
All right, that was Coach Hicks, and he has guided Scott County to, in his memory, and I've gone back and looked, it's their best regular season since he's been here in the 24 years. And that's saying something when you've won 2 state titles. Of course, a lot of those teams in the past played a tough schedule, and you can't underestimate the schedule this year's Cardinals have played. They've beaten teams from 6 states. They beat a team from Australia. They haven't ducked any challenges in the state either. Played just about the who's who running up and down the top 25. So well prepared for what lies ahead. And speaking of guys that are well prepared, this is the 3rd go-round for, actually really the 4th go-round for these guys, as Michael Moreno in his 8th grade year was part of the varsity as well. They know what the postseason is about, do Cooper, Robb, and Michael Moreno. Of course, we mentioned Cooper with the injury that he's battled through, but he's averaging 15 points a game, and you can see just his leadership and the way that he turns defense into offense for this team. Last year, all 3 rounds of the state tournament, whether district, regional, state, he was all tournaments. So we count on him to be the big game guy. And of course, Michael Moreno, one of the best players in the state, one of the best players in the country, closing in on 2,000 points. No 2 better guys to talk to than those 2 guys. Let's see what they had to say about the playoffs.
Cooper Robb took a few days to appreciate the emotions of his final varsity game at Scott County's gym.
Kind of reflected on it. I mean, I love playing here. People, just from the community, everyone comes up, tells you good luck before the game. If people sideline, give you a fist bump before the game. So, I mean, everyone's kind of behind us in it. So, not that last game was bittersweet, more games, but it was good to go out like that.
Defensive intensity has keyed the current 22-game win streak.
Oh, yeah, our defense has been good. We've been getting turnovers. Kind of look like we've had, more than 5 people out there sometimes. But overall, we just got to keep doing what we do, defense, shooting it, and I think we'll be good going into it.
Defense. Like Coach said after the, I don't know what game was that. We struggled with defense. I think it may have been Floyd Central, I think, or there was a game before Floyd Central. Woodford County. There you go. Thank you.
Tried to forget that one.
Yeah, I definitely was trying to forget it. But Woodford County, I think after he said, we need new weapons for defense after Woodford County, I think that kind of helped us out, being comfortable throwing multiple defenses at other opponents, and I think it really worked out for us, as you can see with the running clock.
Scott County's half-court trap forces turnovers and turns them into easy baskets.
That, and I feel like a lot of teams don't trap, so they kind of have to prepare for that in practice. But if they don't, then it kind of jumps at them, and then it kind of shows, and we get a lot of turnovers out of them.
All 3 games against Frederick Douglass were close for a half.
Definitely, if Douglass wins, we're playing them at their home court, and the first time we played them there, we were only up by 4 at halftime, but we picked it up and beat them by 40, I think. But we come out slow like we did at Woodford, then we'll have a game on our hands.
Oh, plenty of danger. I feel like all the pressure, it's on us to lose. They're coming in with nothing to lose as a 4 or 5 seed, whichever one comes out victorious tonight. But I feel like it's all the pressure's on us because we've went undefeated in the district this year, and it's a pretty big accomplishment. With the new addition of Frederick Douglass winning the 7th game this year, and I don't know. It's just we just want to play like we know how we can play.
Michael believes the 11th region tournament will be the strongest in the state.
I think maybe the 7th region's like an 11.5. I don't think it's anywhere near as tough. If you split our region up and say, Madison Central to the 12th being in Richmond, and you send us back to the 8th, I think, you'll see 3 or 4 teams in that, 11th region area in the state tournament.
Scott County overcame a late-season lull by stepping up its defensive aggression.
Yeah, I think we just walked in underestimating them after what we drubbed them here in the Toyota Classic. So I think that played a part into it. And then, Coach Wilson over there is a really good coach. I've known him since I was a baby. He's a good guy, great coach, and they did a real good job playing defense on us and slowing down and playing at their pace.
Definitely. I mean, Mike's had a whole bunch of blocks, have a whole bunch of steals, and then our defense is playing into our offense. We did that at Holy Cross. We did that the last game. I mean, it just kind of feeds into the offense and gets us rolling.
The Cards hit the 30-win threshold with the victory over Frederick Douglass.
Obviously, I think, the one-and-done philosophy, win or go home, that plays a big factor. But I think people that bring a hot streak into the postseason, normally it's just something to build on from the season. I don't think it goes away just like that. I think the work that you put in practice and that chemistry that you build all season, it stays with you. Nothing restarts.
Scott County enters the playoffs on a roll and poses matchup problems for any opponent.
Yeah, definitely one game at a time, and the opponents that we're going to face, they have to play us too. So we're going to prepare as best we can for them, do what we do, but they've got to, prepare and stop all 5 of us, all 6 or 7 of us, whichever comes out hot that night.
Oh, yeah, winning those 20 games in a row, 21, whatever you said. I mean, it helps it a lot. It kind of got the momentum on our side, and we haven't really had a game recently, but I mean, we just got to keep playing and keep doing us.